Hey, welcome to the Curran Crew. This is Dr. Tom Curran.
And this is Carrie.
Today on our program, Carrie and I are going to explore a variety of ways that we've discovered and realized that, you know what, it's okay, mom, dad, just be with your kids. There are powerful ways that you can share faith by just being present to them. I'm super excited about this theme. Let's get started. Well, Carrie, it's great to be with you today, and it's the beginnings of things. We've rolled around into some of these opening activities.
Yes, we had a curriculum night where I got to be at 6 different classrooms at once, which
It's kind of hard to be present
really
in
happen.
6 classrooms at the same time.
And in the midst of that, I had to go pick up someone from the soccer field. But it was good. It was neat just to see all the teachers, to get a sense of the classroom where my child is going to spend a lot of time, and to see all the families. I was really excited just to say hi to all the families. During the summer, typically we don't see as many families except for the occasional mass.
Well, and Carrie, you're way better than I am, because when I think about these back-to-school nights, these welcome back or curriculum nights, I tend to think it's just clogging up my calendar. I don't necessarily see the good in them immediately. And for you to be able to say, no, it's a wonderful thing to connect to the families, to connect to the parents.
Well, I think part of it is I wanted to get out of the house, and I think I left you with all the kids and dinner. I said, you'll be fine.
Maybe that's why I
Here's
wasn't
the
so
pot
excited
pies.
about that.
Here's the microwave. I'll see you in 2 hours. No, I do actually enjoy being in the classroom and in the school environment. It really energizes me. It always has. I mean, I really love that environment.
Well, and Carrie, one of the things that emerged as we began to reflect on this program today about the power and importance of presence, and presence in the very work of sharing our faith and the work of spreading the faith, in the work of radiating God's love, right? The radiating the gospel and Jesus to others, the fundamental place that being present to has. And I think sometimes that shows up when we're not present to, like if someone's on their mobile device, on their smartphone, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you say Liliana did something to
She
you?
did. Did I tell you that today?
You
Or
did.
yesterday?
She's 3 years old.
Oh, she'll say, Mom, look me in the eyes. Mom, look me. No, look at me in the eyes. Look me. Because I say that to her when I really want to get a strong message across to her, like she's going to get hurt or injured. And I really want to make sure she's listening. So I'll say, Lily, look me in the eyes. So she now repeats that back to me when she sees me on the phone doing something. And until I pull that phone down, it's kind of cute. And it's actually convicting. She's so stubborn. She will not proceed and she will not stop until I look her in the eyes.
So, Carrie, we've just identified 2 different dimensions of the theology of contemplative prayer.
I don't know how you do these.
I knew you did that. I knew you did that on purpose, dear. But
You can literally type theology into making waffles and putting whipped cream on them.
well, now listen. The theology of contemplative prayer is that you gaze upon the Lord in a way that says, I am attentive to you. It's the look me in the eyes. And that has a sense of intensity to it. But then there's the other form of contemplative prayer, which is be with me. Just be with me. It's the grandma and grandpa on the front porch in rocking chairs, not looking in each other's eyes with that sense of intensity. And no, it's I'm just with you. And there's something powerful about just being with you. Well, today on our program, Carrie and I are going to explore a variety of ways that we've discovered and realized that we're attempting to evangelize or share our faith with our kids, sometimes by being very focused, look me in the eyes. But there are powerful ways that you can share faith by just being present to them.
Does that apply to when I went to curriculum night at Kennedy Catholic? I only had to track one child there, so I actually got the full meal deal, whereas the other school was different. And someone said to me, now, what do we do tonight? How does this all work? And I was like, I'm not really sure what happens. They're like, well, I think you might need her schedule. I'm like, her schedule? What are you talking about? Well, you go to all her classes. I'm like, I do? And I'm thinking, I didn't do this last year. Why does this sound unfamiliar? And then I realized last year, it's been 1 year yesterday since I had my hip replaced. And I was in surgery, and of course you were with me. So neither of us got to go to curriculum night. And it all came back to me. No wonder I don't remember any of this. I never did it. But I am so excited for Mary Grace, for the year she's going to have, for the curriculum that they shared with us. It's just a great season. It's a great beginning. I don't know, I'm just excited for all my kids and where they're at. Okay, but that has nothing to do with presents.
Well, no,
are you
it
gonna
does.
tie it in?
Well, yes, it does, my dear. Because and again, this is where I would have said, well, there's really not that much good. Like, why do I need to go meet with the teachers? And it was, you know what? It's not a bad thing just to, if you will, just to accompany your child, even though your child's not with you, through their day. You get a sense of being present to what their day looks like as it unfolds.
Yeah, because you follow their schedule. So I go up the stairs, I go down. And when you actually walk through it and you meet all these teachers, now whenever she references them, I'm like, oh, I know who she's talking about. And I know the environment in which she's talking. And just there's this familiarity that's really beautiful.
It's a different way of being present to her life.
Yes.
And I think this is one of those things that we're going to be unfolding. We're going to talk about how Carrie is present on Instagram. We're going to talk about how it's important for us to be present in our kids' school environments while they're there at school. Think about how often today our kids are not in our presence. They're with their friends. And we know as the kids are getting older, their tween years, teen years, they're so deeply influenced by their friends, by their peers. But that often is happening outside the home. Yes, there are those occasions when the kids come and be at your own home. They come to your house. But what about going onto their ground? What about the importance of being present to your kids on their ground? So we're going to be sharing with you several important tips and some strategies for being present and evangelizing in these different environments.
Well, and I think what's important to know, Tom, is a lot of parents are comfortable going into a school environment that's elementary, like kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And then there's a little bit of an awkward moment when you go into your daughter or son's fifth or sixth grade class and the child kind of rolls their eyes, or maybe they dismiss you. And even as you get, old, seventh,
You get a little embarrassed, like, what are you doing
yeah.
here?
Or when you are with them in the junior high, it's just there's not a lot of opportunity, especially in just a pure junior high school, to go volunteer in the classroom. I mean, you could possibly go in the lunchroom, but probably not. And then even the high school environment, talk about wanting to see what goes on behind those walls. I really have this curiosity, and because I taught high school for a couple of years, I'm very comfortable in that environment. But I don't think that's a natural place parents would just jump into. And I asked this wise mother who has 3 daughters. I said, my daughter's going to Kennedy. I want to see what's going on. I really don't want to chaperone the dances. I would. I would, let me tell you.
You would not be allowed to.
I don't know if they'd let me. She said, well, why don't you sign up for this thing called the Nightstand? It's like a little snack shop where you sell candy and drinks during their lunch period. And then you can see out into the cafeteria and see all the kids. And it just is really important to be there. I did it on Tuesday of this week. When I was there, I started to see all these kids I know. Oh, hi, McKenna. Hi, Joe. Hi, Malia. Hi. And they would come up and say hi to me. And it was just like the amount of connectivity and being present in that space was really beyond what I could see, beyond what my eyes could see, my human eyes could see. And it was very powerful because later on in the day, Tom, I went on a couple of these kids' accounts on Instagram and just said, it was so good to see you today. Or, oh, you look so great. I hope you have a great school year. And just that little point of contact with them, I think really just, we don't know what our daughter's future holds, but to try to build these bonds with her friends is important.
Right. If these kids, her friends, or your children's friends or your grandchildren's friends are having a significant degree of influence on their day because they're spending their time with them and they're interacting with them on social media platforms, how do we not settle for just hearing about those things?
Yeah, and
how do we enter into them well? That's that challenge. Because you mentioned, especially in high school, there's a sense of awkwardness around that.
Well, and I think sometimes as adults, as parents, we fall into this trap to think these kids are bad. They're getting into bad stuff on the internet. They're doing bad things on the weekends. They're just looking for the next opportunity to be with their boyfriend or girlfriend. And I've heard this from parents, and it's this real kind of downer mentality attitude. But I tell you, Tom, when I was on the campus, I just was like, these kids are great kids. Now, it's not that we don't all need to come to Jesus every day, but what a great experience for me as a mom to say, Mary Grace, you got great friends. This is a great school. We want to make right choices, we want to do the right thing, but we're just really blessed just to speak about it in a positive way, because I will fall into suspicion and doubt and what are you doing and where are you going, and I think that's just our tendency as parents who are on the outside not really knowing. It's like, take off the cover, enter in, try to make that connection, because they really are good kids and they really do desire to come to know Christ, truth, light. They just don't know it.
Well, Carrie, what I think of is phenomenology.
Oh, okay. Can you spell that?
Yes. What I'm saying specifically is that kids will show up in a way, like they'll show up in one moment. And maybe the kids will show up with a bad attitude at our family prayer time. And they can build off each other.
Well,
and I can get very discouraged by that.
Sure.
And what I can think of is, this is the trend. Because they showed up like this right here, if I don't address this right now, they're going to show up like this again tomorrow.
That's such a
and
good
the
point.
next day, and the next day.
Yeah.
And so as adults, we tend to think how someone is showing up right now
In the home.
is how they are.
Yes.
And I can remember, just for instance, being a bit discouraged about kids in how they were acting during our prayer time and getting them to pray. And I actually took you in a room by myself afterwards, and I was like, "Boy, we got to do something about this." And you were like, "Dial back, Dad."
Is that like on Sunday or?
Yeah, it was like Saturday or Sunday. He said,
Okay.
just be careful about being, taking too much of a sledgehammer to this. And the next night, you said we have to be more creative. We have to do a better job of offering prayer times to be a place of encounter with Christ.
That's
Offer
right.
prayer times to be more engaging, not just settling for them saying words.
For the rote prayer. And I said, even I am falling into just this, I have to be honest, my encounter with daily prayer has not been as strong in the last few weeks, especially with school starting and all the new routines and all the new systems that we're trying to get into place. And I can see how my very prayer with the kids is really diminished, and it's kind of fallen into this rote repetition struggle. I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Let's just not keep doing the dumb same old thing. Let's get smarter and work smarter, not harder, right? That's what I always like to say.
So what I did was I took a cue from you, Carrie, and unbeknownst to you, and I brought the kids a choice, because when kids have choice, they feel a bit more empowered. They're more willing to take ownership over something and invest in it a little bit. And I said, okay, we can pray the rosary, and you know that they're always going to choose the or, right?
Why is that?
Well, the rosary
You'd have to like rosary or Latin mass. Then they choose the rosary.
rosary and the additional prayer. So they know when I say rosary, they mean 25 minutes of prayer. I said, or we can do a half an hour of quiet time. And they jumped at quiet time, because we gave them the option of being able to read during quiet time, which is not something typically we would do. In other words, find a book so you can sit quietly and reflect, or you can read or do your homework, but you're going to do it, now here's the key, in each other's presence, in silence. And it was palpable, because I sat and I prayed in silence for my kids, just being with them while we were just present together, just being with each other. And there was, at least in me, a sense of richness. I could honest to God, sense the very presence of God. And it grew over the course of the half an hour, so that the kids weren't even like saying, hey, have we been at this for a half an hour? How much longer? It did not happen like that at all. In fact, we blew right through a half an hour. And then it dawned on the kids, hey, wait a minute, how long have we been doing this? And it had been like 35 or 40 minutes.
Well, I think it was like almost 10 o'clock at night. I was like, honey, we got to go to bed.
Yeah.
We got kids that need to get to school. And
you know what? That's the thing, is that when you're in the presence of God, and even when the kids may be unconsciously aware of it, why do I want to leave? It's like St. Peter on the mountain of transfiguration. It's good to be here. Let's build a tent. I think the kids were ready to build a tent.
I don't know if it's that good, but
Well, you see what I'm saying. And so I share this with parents who get discouraged that, my kids are not really responding well. So two things. Number one, be creative. Don't settle for just doing the same old thing. but introduce some choice, and maybe choose to do something where there's less looking at, focus on, say, do, but rather take to heart St. John Paul II. We evangelize not first of all by what we do and what we say, but by who we are. So trace back to an activity that's more about presence, just being present together in the presence of God.
That's really great, Tom. And I think that draws a point to being present when you're in the classroom. I'm just thinking sometimes we wonder, am I really having an impact on my child when I go cut out turkeys or ghosts or, I'm correcting papers? But the kids see us in the hallway, and not just our kids, but their friends. And hi, Mrs. Curran. Hi, Mrs. Curran. And I'm calling them by name and saying hi. There is a real sense of
And when you say
gift.
cutting out turkeys and ghosts, what you mean is being like an art
Busy-
docent,
well,
going and helping with a craft or something.
I was actually just talking about being like busy work. Sometimes parents don't feel comfortable getting up and teaching a class, and they don't volunteer for being the art docent or something that to that extent. But they're just like, I want to be there. I want to help out the school, especially in the Catholic schools. They do not have a lot of extra money to pay for para-eds, and they really rely on great parents to participate and to help. But, you might feel like, oh, this isn't really important, or what kind of impact am I really having? Does it matter that I volunteer in the lunchroom? It does. It really matters, to the point that my kids are now like, Mom, when are you going to come in? Mom, when can you, I have a teaching degree, like, Mom, can you come in and sub and be our teacher for the day? And, I've only done that once in all the years my kids have been at St. Vincent, where I auctioned off myself as a teacher to pay for our fundraising. And it was the best experience for me. And this was last year. I was like, Tom, I really want to be present in that school to see them, because I want to see them how their peers see them and how their teachers see them. Because right now we sometimes get the backlash of they get home at the end of the day, they're tired, we get the lip, we get the discouragement, we get the tears, because they just come home and that's where they feel safe to crash and burn. Literally. It's like, oh my Lord. But when you get to see them at their best in those environments, it's just so powerful as a parent. I just encourage parents, if you can be with them, maybe it's not at the school setting, maybe it's at the sports setting or at they play an instrument. I'm not sure.
Well, and you've brought up this kind of insight previously around the school, where even the helping volunteer in the playground during recess.
Yes.
And that has like a level of connection to going to a sports practice or a game. That's, again, it's a way of being present. You don't have to do very much. But I know my kids, the younger kids, they love if I go and I show up on the playground, or I go and I have lunch with them in the cafeteria,
Yes.
or go teach in their classrooms. They feel so proud. They're a little bit awkward, maybe a little bit nervous, but then they see the other kids are excited, and then they warm up to it,
Yeah.
and then they get excited about it. It's a being with.
Even grandparents can do that, Tom. I think grandparents have a little bit more time than working moms or moms with young ones, and they can volunteer to go be if they live near their grandchild. And it's a huge gift. If they didn't show up, those teachers would not get their breaks. And that's a big deal. They just do not have the same amount of breaks that you would find in a public school system. And they really rely on those volunteers.
So, Carrie, there's a whole other realm that you have taken this to, and that is the digital realm, the realm of the internet. We talk about the importance of evangelizing by who we are, and to really trust that when you show up, you are communicating a very powerful message to your child. You're important to me. My being present to you, not intensely focused on you, not engaging you in these direct ways, but just being with you as you are in your day-to-day activities at school, in your day-to-day environment, and among your friends. That shows care, that shows sacrifice, that shows a sense of just how important you are. But you've taken this to another level by drawing out the value and power and importance of engaging on the internet itself. Talk about that.
Well, Tom, thanks, Tom. I think it's something that I've stumbled upon. I'm not afraid to take risks and to try to figure things out. And I love photos. So Instagram is basically an app where you post your photo. And so every day I try to post a photo from our home life. And I think what I've realized is my kids show up a little different on Instagram than they do in the home. That sounds odd, but there's a character and a message they are sending through their account. And so I like to go and like their stuff. And I wasn't really sure if I could comment on, freely on my older daughter's account because all her friends follow her from high school. So there's, she has like 800 followers, which is typical for a high school student. Some have in the, 1,000. But to have that many followers, so they can all see what I write to her. Whatever you write, everyone sees. That's the power. Because you can send a funny message, you can send a funny emoticon, you can send a serious, kind message, but those words, that message is being sent out to all these other kids on the Instagram. Now, I didn't realize that. I thought I was just talking to moms, other moms are on my account, and I have a lot of the high school kids that follow me. But I started to realize, wait a minute, this is actually a tool to evangelize to the kids that are at the high school and at the middle school.
So say that again. This is so critically important. We talk about the desire we have to help our kids' friends come to know Jesus Christ because they're not always going to church. They're not always having these converting moments of encounter with Christ. We want them to have a sense of Christ is alive. Christ is real. Christ draws near. And it's like, well, how can we access them? The power of Instagram.
Yeah. And so, Tom, what I fell into is, these kids are hungry. They desire truth. They desire what is beautiful. They desire family. They desire hope and joy. They desire to know that other people understand where they are at in their point of pain, loneliness, need. So often I will post a photo of our family. We do a Sunday selfie, but we call it Curran Church Crew. Every week I post a family photo of us at church, dressed up for Mass. But then I take the gospel reading or the responsorial psalm from that Sunday experience, and I just pray through it and say, Lord, what are you saying to my heart? What are you speaking to me? And then I say, Lord, what do you want to speak to the hearts of those who are following me? What is the message that I can bring to them to say, I see where you're at. I want to be a word of encouragement. And then I'll just write a little paragraph and try to send out just a message of hope and inspiration. And now my daughter always says to me, Mom, I don't know why you write so much because no one reads it. It's like, well, you don't read it, but other people might read it.
And you know what it is? It is just there. You talk about the concept of presence, is that you are making that message be present. You're allowing it to be present to those who will come by and discover it. And that's where we give God room. We give God space to prompt. Even unwittingly, kids are stumbling into, there's Mrs. Curran's picture. There's Mary Grace's mom. There's Mary Catherine's mom, et cetera. All of our kids that have Instagram accounts with friends that are connected to you, who knows how many times that your reflection is being used by the Lord because it's present there.
Yes.
That they can stumble into it and be ministered to by Christ.
And like I said, Tom, I never really thought, I'm going to try to do this purposefully or intentionally, but now I am, because it's something that dawned on me through doing it. It's like, this is an opportunity for me to have these conversations.
To influence.
These kids, yes, because they're not in our house all the time and they're busy with their lives. And here they're at home by themselves on their phone. And those words, like you said, stick. They stay. Now, the other thing you can do, which is so great, and this is what my mom does. She's a grandma, and she has like 17 or 18 grandchildren on Instagram. And she is not tech savvy. And if my mom can get on an iPhone or an iPad.
She doesn't know how to run a microwave, okay?
Anybody can get on Instagram or get on an iPhone. But she is present to her grandkids, and she will like their photos because I see her like them, and then she'll put these funny emoticons. These are like these little images. I laugh because I don't know if she knows what she's doing. She just puts these cute emoticons. She'll write something to them, but she's just present as grandma, and she gets to see some of these nieces and nephew are all over the country, or not all over, down in California or in Washington, D.C., and she can be present to them in a way that she's not going to pick up the phone and call them or text. Well, she does actually text some of them. But just these photos, these communiques back and forth, it's just such a beautiful way grandparents can be present and be present to those kids as friends. I think it's fantastic.
So don't get overwhelmed if you're thinking, I don't know about this whole world of social media. I don't understand this whole thing of
If you have grandkids,
Instagram. If you've got grandkids,
They
well,
will help
Carrie,
you.
isn't that one of the gifts that
They will show you.
you've talked about? We're super excited about an upcoming webinar that we are now promoting on the Current Crew website that's going to help equip you as parents to help your kids be able to navigate the utilization of mobile devices, smartphones, iPhones, and things like that. So often one of the things that makes kids difficult to be present is the way that they become present in that digital world. We have so much more to say about that topic, but that's for another time. So, Carrie, thank you so much for being with me today and for sharing, and thank you all, you wonderful listeners, for joining us today on this Current Crew podcast. We do encourage you, if you haven't yet done that, go to currentcrew.tv. You can subscribe right there, and that allows us to stay in touch with you. Take care and God bless.